Hey dancers! I want to share a little insight with you about a book that I love called The Four Agreements. So it's a book that came out in the 90s. It's been around for a really long time and it's pretty famous, so maybe you've already heard of it. If you are the type that likes to read, you might like to pick it up. It's pretty thin and a fast read, but essentially the book talks about 4 agreements that if you make these agreements with yourself, then you will live a much happier life. And I discovered this, like I said, when the book had first come out. I was pretty young, in my early 20s, younger than that even. And so I was like in high school when that came out, and it was like life-changing to me at the time that I read it. It was everything that I needed to hear, and I have revisited that book over and over again in my life. It is probably the book that I've read the most. If I can be completely honest with you, I don't actually think the book is that well written. It's just the wisdom in it, to me, was like, wow. Anyways, so the 4 agreements, I'm gonna give you the Cliff Notes version. The first one, well, I don't know the order that they go in right now, but here's what I know. Be impeccable with your word. We've been talking about that a lot. How you talk internally in your head and externally in the world it's casting spells. Your word is your wand, and how you use it really matters. So be impeccable with your word. And there's another one, always do your best. There is don't make assumptions and don't take anything personally. So don't make assumptions and don't take anything personally is what I want to talk about today, because something that I have noticed in my own family with my children, and just as a teacher working with kids a lot, is that sometimes when we give a compliment to somebody, so in the case of my family, if I compliment one of my sons on something, or if I give a compliment to a student in class, there is a moment where I can sort of read the room and see that other students are taking that compliment as a dig against themselves. My sons do this too occasionally, and I have to always remind them about the 4 agreements. Don't take anything personally and don't make assumptions. So let me give you an example. If I tell a student, your port de bras looks beautiful, you are really using your arms well, and they look graceful, it doesn't mean the rest of you are doing a poor job. Okay, so that's making an assumption, and it's taking something personally. She thinks that I'm not doing my arms well. That's not what that means at all. It means that I noticed this particular student doing something really well, and I complimented them on it. So I want you to think about that in your daily life and ask yourself, am I taking things personally, and am I making assumptions? The assumption in that example is you are assuming that because this student got a compliment, you weren't doing a good enough job. That's an assumption. And taking it personally by getting offended by that, that's taking things personally. So right there, we are breaking 2 of the 4 agreements. And if you operate by the 4 agreements in your life, breaking 2 of them is going to create stress, strife, and unhappiness for you. So think about that. Are you practicing those agreements in your life? And when you are breaking them, are you less happy? Consider it. Really think about taking things personally and making assumptions, and try to avoid that. Yeah? Avoid it. A compliment for someone else is not a dig for you. Be happy, lift each other up. That's why we're called Elevate.